US show. I am so grateful that you decided to tune in with me for this episode. My name is Eric Yee. I am your host, just like every week. And here on the show, what we like to do for those of you that are new is I take questions from you, the audience, on all things marketing related. Whether you're a student looking to get into marketing, a career marketer looking for some advice, a growth hacker trying to find the latest trick, or even just a small business owner who needs some help and doesn't have a huge marketing budget behind them or a marketing team. I'm here to be your coach to help you in any way I can to answer your questions and hopefully set you on the right path to achieving more success. Now this week we have a great question coming from Lisa, who's a student in the USA, who's looking at what the best course is to grow as a marketer, what kind of company to lend her talents to once she graduates. And we'll get to that question in just 1 second. So, Lisa writes, "Hi Eric, I'm a student at a state school here in the US. I'm studying business administration and looking at getting a career in marketing. My question is, where should I go to work when I graduate? Should I aim for a larger corporation, join a smaller company, or look at joining a startup? I've read different opinions online about the benefits of each, but I'm curious, what do you think?" So Lisa, that is a great question, and it's going to be a tough answer because, every company, regardless of the size, can be so incredibly different in terms of how much rope they give you, what kind of duties you're going to be doing, and just generally like what the structure of the company is and what field they're in, what industry. There is quite a bit to digest and look at when evaluating where you're going to go to work. Now, it's tough because once you graduate from university, that first job is very important and can kind of set the career path for yourself unless you take dramatic turns later on. So in general, I can give you some ideas of what I think. I've worked at several different companies, really, in terms of big companies, nationwide companies, small regional companies, startups. So in general, here's what I have found. Big corporations are usually the slower moving ones of the bunch. They likely have established processes and potentially they'll have a narrow focus of work for you. So instead of wearing many hats, you may wear one specific hat. So you may be responsible for brand communications or just SEO or just email marketing or just focus on events or channel marketing, things like that. It may be very narrow focused and you'll spend a lot of time becoming an expert in that one narrow focus. So it's definitely something with a bigger corporation that you want to ask the hiring manager. What exactly will you get to do? What kind of opportunities are there? What kind of team will you be working in? And your potential for kind of future growth or personal development. In a big corporate environment, there can be lots of bureaucracy and politics, which can be a pain to deal with, but it is also something valuable to learn how to navigate. Now, the biggest benefit in my mind to working at a large corporation is you get a recognizable name on your resume that can help you land the next job. So I've seen a lot of people get hired solely based on where they worked in the past and what names are on their resume and what logos are on their LinkedIn profile. And it carries a lot of weight. You carry the entire cachet or respect of that organization with you as that organization has already put their stamp of approval on you. So that way, when you go to get the next job, you can probably negotiate more. Especially if you're going to a smaller company, they may want to land you as a bigger fish because you worked for a brand name company or one of their bigger competitors. So a smaller company, this is likely my choice, my top choice of where I kind of like sitting in terms of where I would work. So I'm not talking about like a small one location business, like in a small town. When I say small business, I mean a company that does like $100 to $50 million a year, maybe a little more. And in these organizations, you likely get to wear many different hats and get exposure to a lot of different things. Processes tend to be a little looser and you may be able to get a little more experience with lots of different kinds of marketing. These are some of the organizations where you really get to put your stamp on things and really own entire projects and campaigns and have a ton of achievable metrics to put on your resume that you did X, Y, and Z and you saw it through the entire process. You really probably get your hands a lot more dirty on all aspects of a project than you would in a big corporate environment where you probably only play one small part in a large project. Now, startups. This is an interesting one. First of all, before you go and join any startup, you should really kind of check what kind of funding they have before committing. Resources are usually tight and can get tighter, but you can learn a lot of stuff and be put in charge of figuring things out. So the one thing that you should definitely do when you start or are interviewing at a startup is ask what kind of runway they have, like how much financial capital. And that way you can at least look around and see what they're spending money on. Now I know startups, you get a lot of, they can be a lot of fun, foosball tables, snack bars, things like that. But if you know that they only have X amount of dollars in funding and that they aren't bringing in any more outside investment and you're on the marketing team and revenues aren't there, it's something to kind of watch for. You can kind of get an idea of how the company is doing financially based on how your marketing is performing. Another thing you need to look out for or just be aware of when joining a startup is you have to be okay to work with ambiguity, chaos, and lots of changes of direction. It can be a really fun environment and challenging, especially if it does well, but if you're not one to kind of thrive in that environment or find it super stressful, it can be very tough on you. So I would encourage you to think about your career and how you kind of want to see it grow. Do you want to specialize in one area of marketing or know many different areas? It all depends on where you kind of want to go with your career. I find that, if I want to hire someone to work on the SEO on my website, I'm going to hire the best SEO guy. I'm not going to hire a generalist who's okay at a lot of things. However, if I'm looking for someone to lead my marketing team, I might look more for a generalist who knows enough about a bunch of different areas to manage a team of cross-discipline people. Someone might be the best in SEO. I wouldn't necessarily hire that person to run my SEO, my email marketing, my print collateral, my TV and radio ads, and my media buying. There are a huge cross-section of different skills there. So really think about that when you look at what sort of opportunity you want to move forward with. Now, one thing I would encourage you to do while you're still in school is see if you can get a part-time job at a small company or startup, even it being an intern for free, to get some experience. I really think you should get paid for your work and don't necessarily always encourage interning for free. However, that graduating with experience can pay dividends in terms of getting your first job and that lasting career. So if you graduate and you get a good paying job, potentially better than you would have had if you didn't have that experience, over the course of your career, you're going to earn more money substantially than if you didn't have that position. That first salary that you get upon graduation can determine the amount of money you bring in over the course of your career. So thank you, Lisa, for writing in. I'm always happy to kind of guide anyone towards different career trajectories. Big company, a startup, or a smaller company. All good choices depending on the individual and what you're looking to get out of them. But if you can get some extra hands-on skills before you graduate, that'll be very valuable when you go applying for that first job, regardless of what size company it is. So thank you, Lisa, for writing in. I do appreciate you taking the time to email me. And anyone else in the audience, if you have any marketing questions, feel free to send them to me at eric@marketingsos.ca or go to marketingsos.ca and fill out the form there. And who knows, you may just be featured on an upcoming episode, and I will do my absolute best to answer your question and set you on the right path. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening this week. I truly do appreciate it. And with that, I'm out.